After listening to this story, you will be very cautious about any religious statue, especially the crucifix. I opened my eyes in a dark dungeon, entertained only by noise from mice and dripping water from the cracked wall. The least expected places I never thought I would be, especially the mysterious and horrifying occurrence that landed me there. I was a taxi driver till my car broke down. I have three very young children. The eldest, my son, was just 8 years old. They went to school, while for a short period I stayed at home thinking of the next thing to do. On that unforgettable day, my eldest son came back from school, strangely carrying lots of foodstuff and provision. I was surprised. I asked him how he came about it. He told me that as he was coming back from school, a man who introduced himself as a priest that does charity work for God gave them to him. He presented the provision along with a large crucifix, about the height of a man's arm. The crucifix looked strange. I have not seen such before, especially the word position of the Christ on it. The Christ or the person crucified there looked very angry and muscular, with his mouth open, as though he was wailing. I felt strange at first, but I never gave it a deep thought. Later that day, I made noodles for them from the provision my son brought home. They ate and went to take their siesta. I had already dozed off on the cushion when my wife came in from work. She was a teacher. She tapped my chest and greeted me and went straight to the children's room to check on them. Almost immediately she entered the room, I heard a loud scream from there. It was so loud that I quickly rushed in to check what was going on. I opened the door. I beheld one of the most horrifying scenes. The three of my children were lying on the bed, dead, with their hearts plucked out of their chest, as though attacked by a very wild beast. I was just trembling. The neighbors came. Everyone was extremely suspecting me. In fact, I could have been lynched if not by the intervention of the police that my closest neighbor called. They accused me of intending to use my children for wealth occultic ritual of some sort. While in detention, I was interrogated very critically. I kept on telling the police about the strange cross, the priest, and the provision my son brought back, but they saw it as cock and bull story. In the dungeon, I was full of regret. Why didn't I reject the whole provision? But now it's too late. I just wanted to end myself. I looked out for how to do it fast, but I can't see. A policeman came in and ordered me to come out. He handcuffed me and led me into the interrogation room once again. It was a place of deep horror where you speak both all the truth you know and don't know. I sat down. The officer in charge of my case came in with my wife. She was sobbing when our eyes met. The officer asked me, "You were talking about a crucifix and provision brought in by your son on the day it happened?" I hastily replied, "Yes, sir," being surprised as this was the first time he minded what I said. Other times they will be torturing me to say what I don't know anything about. He asked me to describe the cross. I gave a vivid description of how the cross looked like. He stared at me for a while and sighed. He waved at the officer standing close by to bring a huge bag. When the bag was brought, it was emptied on a table in front of me. It contains 15 of those same crosses. I was so shocked. The police officer continued, "We could have never believed in this your story if something didn't happen to an officer in this division." According to him, the officer's daughter went to buy something down the street and a certain priest met her and told her he does charity work for Christ by providing for children and less privileged. He gave her so many foodstuff and provision. She brought it home. She took some of the provisions like the refreshment and the soft drinks and drank them before the officer came back. And while the officer came back, he met the daughter dead with her heart ripped out from her chest. He made inquiries from the neighbors, and the neighbors told her about the encounter with the certain priest, how the daughter came back with so much of provision, and spoke about a priest that gave it to her. In fact, according to the police, 20 children in town have entered trouble or are diseased because of this so-called priest that gave crucifix while giving provision in the name of charity work. He brought out one of the cross and turned it, showing me what was written behind it. Behind the cross was written, "Mullah crucified, draw more blood to yourself." There are artworks that are mysterious. Please don't have them in your home. Some of them are circulating online now. Be very careful. Go to the video description. You will see a link that will take you to Amazon where you can access our book that unveils some of these artworks. They are called the living artworks.